everybody on Instagram. We got people on Facebook, and we got a bunch of members here in the Zoom chat. All right, we're just letting people log in. We appreciate it if everyone, we're here to network, we're here to learn. That's what the Not Another Lunch and Learn is about. So we definitely would love to have your video on, participate in the comments and the chats. I got Molly in the comments and chats to answer any questions or make sure I get your questions. We interviewed Chelsea Peets. She's a social media influencer yesterday on the AZREIA Show podcast. And she said, if you were in a meeting and sitting in front of somebody and you just started spinning your chair around, right? How would that look, right? So she's trying to give an example as if you were on a Zoom call and you got your Jim's iPhone XX4, what's it like, right? So we're all in a meeting setting. We're all looking to meet each other. So build our businesses. So welcome to Not Another Lunch and Learn here at AZREIA. Our goal mission here at AZREIA is to support, educate, and provide networking opportunities for real estate investors all throughout Arizona. We've been doing it since 2002. So welcome. On the bottom of our screen, as you can see, we have all our social media handles. We're everywhere. So if you just want to communicate with us outside of email, our website, our forums, we're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, you name it. We're all there, TikTok. So thanks for being here. I'm just going to take a few brief moments and go over some stuff we got going on at AZREIA. So our monthly meeting's coming up Monday, September 12th. So it's on the second Monday of every month. And at this meeting is where the trade show happens. All our vendors, our business associates, attorneys, assurance companies, property managers, agents, trades, everyone's there to answer your questions. And this is a great place to meet them in person and build your team. Then as everyone knows, we do our in-depth market update. With this month will be with Sarah Perkins, and she will give us, let us know what's going on in the market, what's been going on, and where she thinks we might be going. So it's a very important meeting to be at. Not to mention we have over 200 AZREIA members there for you to network and meet and build relationships. So Monday, September 12th, our special education speaker will be on multifamily, Anthony Chara, and I'll go over that in a minute. We do the same meetings if we do it for our Tucson chapter. The next day, we drive down to Tucson, September 13th. So we'll be at the Tucson Association of Realtors, where we hold that meeting. Then on the fourth Tuesday of every month, we do the Phoenix Real Estate Club. So this is more I want to say intimate, maybe, because at the main meetings we meet a lot of people, we throw a lot of information at you, especially market data. So we want all our investors to come to the Phoenix Real Estate Club and have more of a discussion and review of the market and what's going on. It's great to hear all the active investors, what they're experiencing, what strategies they're doing, what's working for them, what's not working for them. So it's a great place to get some insight in the inside scoop of what's going on in the Phoenix market. So that will be the fourth Tuesday, September 27th. Then we have our subgroups. So outside of our bigger meetings, we have our subgroup meetings. And they're focused on specific strategies, right? Fix and flip, landlording, Prescott and Tucson. Tucson's our beginners group with Patrick Allen. He does that once a month. Raising capital, notes. As you can see, we have a networking opportunity and learning opportunity in every strategy. So for this week, so tonight we have our fix and flip subgroup here at the office in Central Phoenix. Bob Gomez is bringing an expert panel. We're going to have a lender, a fix and flipper, and a landlord, and I think another lender on the panel. They're going to let us know what they're seeing in the market, how they're adapting to changes. So here at the office tonight, we'll be doing that from 6 to 8. Tomorrow night with Garrick, our subgroup leader for buy and holds, his meetings tomorrow. And then Saturday, we're playing Cash Flow 101, the board game, Saturday morning at 10 a.m. So go to our calendar, azreia.org/calendar, and you can see all the events that we have throughout the month. And like I said, Anthony Chara, he's owned over 2,000 multifamily units. He'll be speaking with us and spending a few days with us, actually. So September 12th here in Phoenix, September 13th in Tucson. Then he's going to be back here on Wednesday, September 14th, to analyze multifamily deals. So he's going to be talking about, actually, he wants you to bring in your deals, the deals that you're doing here in Phoenix, or even you're doing something out of state. He wants to analyze and break down that deal on Wednesday night. Okay, so Wednesday, September 14th. So he'll be with us for 3 days. And then he's going to come back the following week, September 24th, and he's going to spend the whole Saturday with us and take a deep dive into multifamily investing. So you could see him at our monthly meeting. Then you can hang out with him on Wednesday, and then the following Saturday, if you like what you hear. So look forward to seeing everyone there. Launchpad group session. This is for beginner real estate investors or people that never really created a plan, right? So if you don't know where you're going, it's going to be a long way to get there. So we want to help you clearly define your basic 6 months to a year plan to kick off your real estate business. We want, when you leave this class, you're right now you're going from YouTube page to YouTube page, from program to program, $1 program, $99 program. You're just jumping around, you're chasing the shiny objects, right? So you can do that for years, right? You're gonna get so frustrated with real estate, nothing's gonna happen. So we want to stop that. We want to come up with these 8 objectives. We want to help you define and clarify the steps that you're going to take for the next year so you can gain some momentum and traction in your real estate business, close some deals, and start building, like I said, momentum, get more deals done, more rentals, more flips, or whatever it may be. So we're going to help you with that. And that's going to be Saturday, October 29th. We do it every other month. So we just had one a couple weeks ago. So lock in your calendar. Saturday, October 29th from 9 to 1:30. It's a half day. Members, $30, non-members, $100. AZREIA show, Marcus Maloney, my co-host, and I, we've been doing this for going on a year now. We've started off going bi-weekly. Now over the last month, we're kicking them out every week now. So like I mentioned, Anthony Chara was our most recent guest last Friday. These come out Friday mornings at 7 a.m. on all podcast platforms and our YouTube page. Home Depot, as everyone knows, if you're a member, we have the best discount in the country with Home Depot. If you're an AZREIA member, you get 2% cash back on all your purchases, 20% off paints, appliance and cabinet discounts, just to name a few things. So you always want to make sure as a member you have your Home Depot Pro account set up properly with AZREIA. Okay, if you have any questions on that, call the front desk. We have a bunch of videos on the website that can walk you through that. All right, so we'd love to have you as a member. We're a thriving community, online, offline. We've been growing constantly over the last year. So I'm loving the momentum we're having as a community. So if you don't feel like you're going to be that active, $100 a year, right, will get you our membership. And then you just got to pay a la carte. So depending on the amount of events you want to go to, the subgroups will be $5. Phoenix Real Estate Club and the main meeting will be $10. So if you're going to come less than 6 or 7 times a year, this would be the program for you. And you have access to all our benefits. And if you want to be a highly active member, you're going to all the subgroups, a bunch of, the bigger meetings, whatever it may be, all that is free for $239 a year. So very affordable. Our classes are affordable. Our meetings are highly valuable. We love to exceed expectations. So we'd love to have you part of the community. So with all that being said, thank you for hearing me out. Our special guest today is from PropStream. Our good friend Burton here. He's taking the time out of his day to spend it with us here on the Not Another Lunch and Learn to show us how to use PropStream. I've personally been using PropStream for maybe 3 or 4 years now, especially doing deals in Cleveland, Ohio, and Phoenix. Gives you that MLS access. I could comp properties, I could pull cash buyer leads, I could pull lists, I could skip trades, I could drive for dollars. I mean, I'm sure Burton's in a break down that list, but it's been a huge asset to my business. So the fact that I have Burton here and PropStream willing to share that with you guys, I appreciate. So Burton, I'm gonna let you pick up. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about PropStream. And Molly, can we make sure Burton has access to the screen? I'm assuming you might have he's gonna need to show us what he's gonna do today. So it's all yours.
You gotta do that.
I have to do it. All right, perfect.
Yeah.
What is going on? Hey, everybody. My name is Burton. A little bit about me. I started with PropStream, the software I'm about to show you guys, about a decade ago. Started about 2013, and I haven't looked back since. I started just as a tech support, just kind of helping our users make sure that the product was working efficiently on their computer at the time. Must have DSL. Things were back then. So over the years, I just took it upon myself to just learn real estate, understand what strategies our users are implementing so that I can better understand how we can develop our application for their needs. So what I want you to just consider me as just your tour guide today. Now, a little bit about PropStream. In 2006, they were founded. Two good friends of mine's out here in Southern California. And the mission was essentially to just go get records on your behalf, but then put a visual behind it. Because a lot of records back then, from what we discovered, was they don't look the same, right? One provider has one certain format, the next provider has a different set of format. Take some time deciphering these records. So that was the mission. Let's go get these records on everyone's behalf, from the county, from the mortgage providers, from the lien holders. As a matter of fact, let me show you exactly what data sets we have right here. So I'm going to pull up my screen for you guys.
And Burton, I may hop in here and there if a question pops up, or if I
Please do so. I'd love for anybody to ask a question. I'm going to be as transparent as I can. If I don't have the answer, I'll definitely make sure that we lead you to the right department that does. So this is the data set that we have here in PropStream. So what's under our current hood right now, like what's in our server, is residential data, commercial data, industrial data, vacant land data, exempt properties, government properties, agricultural even. Now, what I'm referring to is just like property characteristics, right? Beds, baths, the zoning, school district, the year it was built. But we also purchase other data sets. And that's what these bubbles down below represent. We have tax data, pre-foreclosure data, deed data, open mortgage data, past mortgage data, involuntary liens. We have access. Mike mentioned we have access to the MLS on a nationwide level. So you can see what's on market, what's off market. You can also see MLS historical data, like a property that failed on the market or a property that sold on the market. So you can run comps using that data. Then we have harder data to collect, like document images, HOA data, bankruptcy data, parcel boundaries, and even harder data to create, because this is data that we had to pretty much manipulate a little bit on our own, or add some logic, I should say. So we can show you pre-probate. We're the first in the nation to show you anybody that is no longer with us, but still has their name on the property. Flippers. We can show you who's buying and selling a house through a realtor in less than 2 years in your market. Vacant data, we can show you who's not answering their mail. That comes from the USPS, the United States Postal Service. And then we haven't implemented this, but FEMA flood zone data will be coming out.
Hey,
so
Burton,
this is the data that we have. Yes.
So on pre-probate, so is it before the personal representative is appointed? Is that right?
We can't say yes or no to that question, only because we don't collect probate data, right? So there's a void. Let me kind of give you a timeline in a sense, right? So someone passes away, they own a property. That's what pre-probate is. All we know is that someone has passed away and that their name is on a property. Now, typically what follows that, depending on the scenario, might be probate. And that's when the house might go through a sell or transfer or refi. We don't collect that data. So we kind of technically have this data. Now you might call someone and they might say, hey, we just filed last week, right? The idea is that we're just trying to give you that signal flare, essentially, where someone's passed, we identified that their name is on a title. Hopefully you'll be able to reach out, and whether they are or aren't, maybe you can navigate through that right after.
Awesome.
Great question, by the way. So the next question that precedes, what type of data do you guys collect, is what we do with that data. So we've been so good at what I'm about to show you that just last November, and some of you guys might be working with them, Stewart Title acquired PropStream. We're now part of the Stewart Title family. We're happy to be part of them. Lots more resources are going to be coming into PropStream, so just look out for that. But we're definitely part of the Stewart Title family. But they were very, very impressed of what we were able to do with our data. And what we're able to do with our data, and let me get my next PowerPoint here for you, is we're able to do the two very important things that you're going to need to do in your business. And those two things are lead generation and analyzing a property. Whether you're using PropStream or not, you need to do this in your business. You need to acquire leads or generate some leads. And then eventually, either whether you're sending postcards or cold calling or knocking on doors, it's going to lead to needing to analyze that property. You're going to need to know everything about that property. Is there a note on that property? Are there any encumbrances that it may be going through, like a pre-foreclosure, a bankruptcy, a divorce? And then finally, if you're not a realtor, you probably need local sales. You need to know what that house could potentially sell for in that particular market. And that's what we do. We do lead generation, which has 3 parts to it. And you may not need all 3 parts, but they're there. Part 1 is build your list. Everybody's going to need to do that. So that's why it's part 1, build your list. After you do that, you can export those addresses. We give you 10,000 records every month. And the link that you saw gives you a 7-day trial period and a discount. It's $97 a month. And every month you get 10,000 records you can export from PropStream. Now, if you just want addresses, you're a part 1 user. Part 2 is skip tracing. For some of us that don't know what that may be, that's getting a cell phone, a landline, or an email. Now, it is an additional cost, but it's only 12 cents. Try to make it as affordable as possible. And by the way, it's 12 cents if you get results. If you skip trace an address and nothing comes back because we couldn't capture anything, or this person's really smart with hiding their information, then you're not going to get charged that 12 cents, right? So I can build a list and then skip trace it and get some phone numbers, emails, and then I can export it. And then I can hand it to my nephew who can do some cold calling, or my assistant, or I can do cold calling, or we could send it somewhere else to do marketing. That's part 2. So part 2 is getting contact information. Part 3 is marketing. Marketing allows you to set up a landing page. That's right. You get a free landing page for your marketing list. It's part of your subscription. Oh, so if you create a list, let's say pre-foreclosure list, and you skip trace it, get phone numbers and emails, when you go to the marketing section, you can set up a landing page that says, I can help you with your pre-foreclosure. And then after that, you could send postcards and emails directly to that list. Now, the postcards, emails are additional costs. Postcards vary depending on how many you send out and the size of the card, but it can get as low as 40 cents. Same as emails. Emails are 2 cents when they're sent out. Now, all of our information can be found on our website. If you go to PropStream.com, there's a pricing tab and you'll see all that information. So we're not trying to hide anything from you. Everything is there, but just make sure you understand that the link gives you a discount. Because if you go to the website now and check out the pricing, it's going to say $99 a month. So make sure you use the link for the discount. Analyzing a property is the final step, right? Because once you start generating leads, or maybe you have a list or a lead now that you need more information on, that's what we can help you with next. Analyzing a property simply is searching the address, finding opportunities within our data. The opportunity could be that they own multiple properties, they have 2 mortgages, they live out of state. We're going to show you a lot of information, which I'm going to show you in a few moments. Running comps to get a value, maybe an after repair value or an as is value. And then printing reports. You can print out the property detail report, or even run comps and print the comp report out. We do have some additional features like the mobile app, team members in case you're growing, and List Automator. List Automator is an add-on, but it allows you to build a list and automate it, meaning anytime a new record shows up, it will add it into your list for you. And you can do that to as many records as you need. We do have different packages for you. So I just wanted to show you guys an outline, because when I go into PropStream, you're gonna be like, whoa, a lot. Just break it down into these 2 principles, okay? When you go into PropStream, you're gonna be able to either do lead generation or analyzing property. Today, I'd like to start by showing you analyzing a property. In the event you have a lead right now, this is what you're gonna be looking at when you're in PropStream. Now, when you first log in, there's a pop-up that tells you all about our resources, like our daily webinars, the add-on features. So take full advantage of them. Some of them are free. Once you close that pop-up, this is your playground. United States, we don't restrict you. You can search anywhere. Now, I do want you to be aware that your toolbar is on the left-hand side. As you scroll over to the left-hand side, your toolbar will expand. Now, there's a reason why we're sending you to the search page, because we believe you just logged in to either generate leads or analyze a property, either or it's done on the search page. Now, right now, I'm going to show you how it analyze a property. If I have a property, now I'm in Southern California, but let's say I have a property in Phoenix that I want to pull up. I can pull it up 2 ways. I can either zoom in onto the Phoenix market like I'm doing right now. Just keep zooming, find the area where that property may be. Let's say it's maybe down here, and then just click on it. Now we give you commercial records, property records, office space records. So as you zoom in, you're going to see these parcel boundaries. Go ahead and click one. And we're going to then give you a brief description of that particular parcel. So this parcel is 717 West Pima Street, Phoenix, Arizona. We'll give you an estimated value, brief property characteristics, some other calculations and trends. Now, the other way to pull up a property, and this is actually the more recommended way, is to actually search the address in the search bar. Because the reality is when that phone rings, you don't have time to be zooming in on the map. Right? You're probably going to thank them for calling you, do your introduction, and then ask for the address. And when you get that address, you're going to type it in. We're going to make sure we match it up. And if it's the right address, go ahead and click on it. And instead of giving you the small box on the screen, let me go ahead and show you what that box looked like a few moments ago. We take that box and we move it to the right-hand side. The reason for that is we can free up the map for you. Now, what we're doing when you search the address is we're now going to give you local information. We're going to tell you how many MLS properties are in Phoenix, how many pre-foreclosures, how many auctions, how many bank-owned, how many cash buyers in case you're wholesaling or needing to raise private money, or you're an agent looking to send its listing to a buyer, show you the liens, the vacants. So, I mean, do you need to know that? No, but we're just letting you know so that way you can make confident decisions. Next, below the actual property itself, we're going to show you the nearby listings. And that's what all these red dots are. It starts with the neighbors. So now I can see the neighbors, their characteristics, the last sell date. I can look at the MLS listings around that subject property, the pre-foreclosures around that subject property, and the foreclosures around that subject property. Now, let's not forget the map. The map has some tools itself. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can rotate. If you need to, you can use the Google individual and drop them on the street and take a look at that property. So you could do this nationwide, by the way, just in Phoenix. Again, I'm in Southern California right now, but I'm able to do this and take a look at the house. Hey, I like your Honda Civic. Back in high school, my older brother had one, and we used to just ride around town in a silver Honda Civic. I see you have a newer model. Yeah, I love Honda Civic. Now I'm having a conversation unlike any other agent or investor had because of a car photo using Google Maps. So don't dismiss Google Maps. It's very powerful, especially with building relationships. Compliment them on their grass. Talk about the neighbor's house. Talk about, the jumper out front. Maybe they had a party when that thing was taken a photo of, right? So think about all of that. Finally, the statistics down below. We're just going to, again, paint the picture, the financial picture, like whether there's been positive or negative price changes, positive or negative rent changes, price per square footage trends, average days on market, like, a 3-bedroom property will last on market 85 days, a 4-bedroom, 100 days. You got market trends, pre-foreclosure trends, average monthly rent trends. So a lot of information. Again, the idea is to equip you so you can make decisions better. Now, if you are going to have a full-on conversation with the homeowner, I recommend going into the actual details of the property. So let's recap. How did we get here? Simply search the property, got local information, which I can tap into as I'm doing my introduction over the phone. But once that homeowner starts talking about property and talking about wanting to sell, I'm actually going to go into the details. And this is what we excel at. We took all those little bubbles I showed you earlier and put them on one page so you don't have to go web surfing or going to the county for that information. So here's how it breaks down. The first part is the address. The second part right here at the top is our dashboard. The dashboard derives information from these tabs right over here, down below. So we start with the map, give you a satellite image of that property. If this house is on market, let's say it was listed or was listed recently, like these MLS properties here, you'll actually get photos. So let me see if I can capture one with a photo here. So we have ones with photos. So you can actually see the listing photos because it's on market or recently sold. Not every property is going to have photos because not every property is on market, right? So
hey, Brian, I have a real good question for you, not to cut you off.
Yes, Xavier. What's going on, brother?
How you doing, man?
I'm well, man. How are you doing?
I'm holding up. I'm holding up.
I love that. I love that. What's up, man?
I'm sorry about the background noise. I'm actually at the hospital too, so just excuse the background
Well, I
noise.
hope everything's okay with you or whoever you may be there with, man.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. Just a quick question. So with
What's
PropStream,
up?
how is this updated like regularly, or how frequently is this updated?
Great question. Okay, so there's two updates I want you to understand. Maybe I can kind of give you an analogy. Think of that hospital that you're in, right? And you know that electric door that they have in the front?
Right.
Replace it with a revolving door that goes in circles.
Right.
But it goes in circles every 24 hours.
Okay.
And that hospital is our server, right? And everybody in there is data that we've had for either yesterday or for years, just in that hospital, right?
Right.
Now, who goes in the door are the different data sets. Those are the different bubbles that I showed you. So if you look at my screen, let me show you something really cool. If you're ever using PropStream, there's this really cool way to check frequency. So we update every day. That's our door. Our server says, hey, come in when you want, but we open the door every 24 hours, right? So if the mortgage provider is waiting outside the door, he's going to come in tomorrow, right? If the pre-foreclosure is out there, he's going to come in tomorrow. But to check your market, because every market's different. Some markets update daily, some do weekly, some do monthly. Here's what you got to do. Search your market first like I'm doing, and then there's this little tab right here. You click on it. There is a column that you can look at. It says last updated. And so this column tells you the last time that market was updated. So in Phoenix, the last time we did an update was, and the most recent address was 3030 North 38th Street, was actually 2 days ago on the 29th.
Okay.
But here's the trick, okay? Remember how I showed you that we had those different bubbles? Each bubble is a different provider.
Right.
So if I wanted to know when was the last time the pre-foreclosure was updated, I need to click on that box and then click on that tab. And then I'll see that the last update is not the 29th, because the 29th might have been some other record, but the last pre-foreclosure was actually on the 19th of this market, right? Now, if I wanted to know the last lien record, I click on lien and I just rinse, recycle, repeat. I click on that last update and I see that the last lien was updated on the 22nd. So pre-foreclosure was on the 19th, liens were on the 22nd, the MLS was 2 days ago. I hope that answers your question.
That's perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So yeah, I don't like telling people every day because, man, I could sell you, and no, I'm not that person, man. I've been on your shoe. I've been in your shoes. I hate when people try to sell me. I only give, again, answers. So any questions you have, anybody else, ask, because I'm going to give you the most transparent answer you've ever heard. Okay. So thank you for participating, Xavier. Love that, man. All right. So property details. The dashboard, again, if the property's on market, we show you photos. If it's not going to have photos like Josephina's house here. But the dashboard is really just data that's going to come from these tabs here. So this first area is our property details area. It summarizes how many years they've owned it, if it's owner occupied, if it's individually owned. But again, that information comes from this first tab, which gives you the owner's information, property characteristics, the building's information, the land and location information like zoning and school district, legal description, tax information, the HOA, last time it sold. Right. Now, the next thing we would normally give you if it's going through something is what we call situational data, because not only do you need to know the properties, you need to know what's happening with that property. And that's when a tab will appear. Now, with Josephina's house, there are no tabs. It goes straight to comparables. But if Josephina's house was one of these pre-foreclosures and we had clicked on that property or searched that property, there would be a pre-foreclosure tab like you see here. If there is a lien, there would be a lien tab. If it was bought in cash, you would see a cash tab. If it was a bankruptcy, you see a bankruptcy tab. If it was on market or recently sold or failed, you would see the MLS tab. But with Josephina's house, you see her story. None of that's happening. She's owned this property for 11 years. She's been paying her bills, living life normally, right? She's not in pre-foreclosure, doesn't have the need to sell the house yet, doesn't have any liens. That doesn't mean we can't find anything to want to sell, right? Now, 11 years, that's a long time. Maybe she wants to move into a different house now. Maybe her kids moved out. Maybe needs to consolidate. She has 1 bathroom. Maybe she needs 2 bathrooms now, right? So just because Josephina is not on a list doesn't mean she may not want to sell. This is why I like showing data, because data can tell you a lot of stories. Like she may not be in pre-foreclosure, but she might want to sell because she needs another bathroom, or she might want to sell because her property is almost 100 years old now, right? Or she might want to sell because living 11 years next to the neighbor that she has is just, she can't do it anymore.
Hey,
Right?
Bert,
That's why you got to have these conversations.
a stat in Arizona is the average person moves every 6 to 8 years. So that'd be another.
Boom.
There you go.
There you go. And as you lean on that, you have other reasons or, factors that you can use in your conversation. Like, oh, I see you have a 3-year-old. I see you have a 4-year-old. Might need a second bathroom. So I love, Mike, that you're bringing that up. Now, the second part, and I'm going to skip this part because I believe this is the final part. But the third part, right? Not only do I need to know Josefina's property and her situation, either based on data or asking questions, but I need to know her taxes. So we give you the tax tab. I need to know if she has any mortgages or any loans on a property. And she doesn't. Why? Because it was bought in cash back in 2011. That's why she has no open mortgages unless she was to pull out on that property. Now, if I clicked on a property like one of these pre-foreclosures that has a mortgage, then the mortgage tab would actually show me the mortgage information. It would say, okay, this mortgage was back in 2017. Here's the document. Here's the loan type. Here's the lender. Here's the registered loan amount. Here's what we calculate to be the rate. Here's what the loan term is. Here's when the due date is. Here's what we believe the monthly payments are. And here's what we believe their current balance is today if they've been making those minimum payments. Right? That's the data. And that's what we've been so good at, is calculating all this data from others, but putting it into our system. So that way, when you're talking, yes, Mike, what's going on?
Question come in from
Sure.
Jerry. How about fire houses? Like if there's
We
fire-
don't have fire damage records. So the only way to determine if it was in fire is if you actually looked at the map and saw it, but those images are really old. We don't have fire damage. There's no way to generate leads based on fire damage. However, if you, let's say, drove across the neighborhood and you saw a house on fire and you got the address or know its location, you can pull up that property's information and be able to see who owns it, be able to see if there was a mortgage on that property that just got caught on fire, run comps on it, which probably is going to be as is value at this point. But that property can be saved in PropStream individually, and then you can skip trace it or mark it to that homeowner. So we won't have the fire damage information because we don't collect that, but we will have everything else in terms of the property details, mortgage information, local sales, and potentially contact information. That's a good question, Jerry. Yeah, it's something that I live in Southern California. I don't know if you guys saw earlier this year, there was a huge fire up here in Newport Beach, California. Same thing, buddies out here were calling me and like, hey, how do I get those addresses that were on fire? I'm like, we don't collect that data, but if you saw it on the news and you know where it was, and they're like, yeah, I saw exactly where that rim was, then just start clicking on that property and you can start saving them and marketing to those leads. So great question, Jerry. All right, so the final thing I wanted to show you, other than, having the details, because you need that, right? Back then, it used to be, Josefina, how many beds do you have? How many bathrooms do you have? And how old is your building? And Josefina could have been like, you're the professional, and then hang up on you. Today, Burton can say, Josefina, your house is nearly 100 years old. Have you guys done the roof yet? You haven't. Write down those notes, right? Now I know that her house is not in 100%. So if she wants full price, Josefina, you just told me your house hasn't done the roof yet, or you haven't done the roof yet. I can't give you that 100% value. I could give you maybe 70% because of your roof being the way it is, right? That's why it's important to know data, because you could ask certain questions and then understand what your potential offer could be later on. But the final part is comparables. When it comes to analyzing properties, we do give you local sales. So I can now go into comparables, and after knowing that she needs to move quick, or her house needs a new kitchen, fences, whatever it may be, I can now use comparables to see what's selling in the neighborhood. And you can use public records. These are records that are recorded at the county, and they record everything. They record cash transactions, finance transactions, you name it. I can do MLS records. So these are properties that sold through a realtor. Rental listings sometimes are included in here. Or I can put them both side by side if I wanted to. Now, we don't run comps for anybody, so that's why we include filters. Feel free to change the date. Feel free to add your beds, your bathrooms, your year built. Like in this case, properties built after 1930, right? Maybe before 1960. I don't know what the case is there, right? Increase or decrease your distance. And don't forget, apples to apples. I see this fairly often. People miss this part, but let us know you're comping a residential, what? Single family, duplex, mobile home. But as you apply your filters, those results will appear. The last thing you can now do is educate Josephina. Hey, I saw a house, 910 West Copa Street. It sold for $230. I'm taking a look at the photos here, and this property looks like it's fully renovated. You know what? Your roof hasn't been done. Your windows aren't done. Your rug is falling apart. I'd love to give you $230, but based on what we've talked about, I think you're at 60% there, right? So I'd like to offer you X, Y, Z, whatever it may be, right? But photos, data is going to help. And lastly, she might need to think about it. And this is where printing reports come into play. You can check off the comps that you want. So I'm just going to check off a few here and then go to actions and view a comp report. So what this allows you to do now is either give this report to Josephina or the buyer. First page is all of Josephina's property information. The second page is your comps. It's going to give you the low, the high, and the average value, and where those comps are on the map based to subject property. It's then going to give you the sources that you use to generate this report. So that way we can show Josephina we have access to county and MLS records. It's then going to show her more information on those properties that sold around her property. And if we have any, photos will also be included on the report. So if she's like, well, I want 230, I could say, well, 910, 230, that looks like that, Josephina, and I can't do that for you, right? So this is our analyzing of property. That's the second part of your business, or maybe first, because you might have a lead already, right? But this is what we're really good at. And the reason I started there was that was really the hardest work. How do we get all these records that are scattered, right? It's like taking a glass vase and shattering it and then trying to piece it together again. That's what we're doing with real estate data. But that was the first part, putting it all together. Now that we did that and you see how it all came together, right? Property details. Well, that's what fuels our lead generation. If I don't have an address to pull up in this market or any market nationwide, I can generate my leads. PropStream has data, so I can manipulate that data and I can find myself a motivated seller. Now, all I need to do is search by county, city, as zip code, or use the draw search feature at the top left. So let's stick with Phoenix here. So I'm going to type Phoenix, Arizona. Since I'm not searching an address, it's not doing that whole neighborhood thing and not giving me just one address. It's giving me everything on a list that's in PropStream in Phoenix. So what it's saying is, hey guys, you have 435,000 records you can go through, 50 per page. And if you wanted to take the time to click on each one and manually try to find the motivation, go for it. No one's going to stop you. Or you could take some shortcuts. What we're going to do is we're going to take those records and we're going to categorize them for you. I'm going to show you how many of those are on the MLS, pre-foreclosures. And we just went over this a few moments ago, right? Each one's going to have a different frequency. But here's what you should really do. After you search your market and get your results, just go straight to the search filter. For multiple reasons. First, we have more than 8 categories. You see 8 here, but there's actually 18. If you go into the search filter, we have this thing called quick list choices. If you click on it, it has those 8, MLS to high equity, but there's 10 more that follow right after it. Free and clear, bankruptcies, divorces, delinquencies, flippers, failed listings, senior owners, vacant land, tired landlords, senior owners, zombie properties, pre-probate. I think I said senior owners twice, but anyhow, you get the idea. So 2 things here. You have quick list choices. So this is like going to the county and grabbing a list from them. I'd like to see all the senior owners in Phoenix. Boom, there's your 51,000 senior owners. Reverse mortgage, senior citizen tax status, or 25 years of ownership. That's what this list represents, if you're wondering, right? Our definitions are on our website. The other avenue is you don't have to choose a list. You can just go into our filters and build your own. If I wanted to see every non-owner occupied property in Phoenix, owner occupied, no. I don't want to work with people. I don't want to deal with tenants. Then you want a non-owner occupied property that's vacant and not occupied. So you can actually build your own if you'd like, or you can do a little bit of both. I'd like to see all the senior owner properties that are non-owner occupied, and vacant. So you can actually stack two different leads together. But don't let me confuse you, because we have property characteristics, MLS filters, pre-foreclosures, ownership info, liens, et cetera, et cetera. And I could go on for days, and I know I have a few minutes left with you guys. So here's the two searches I want you guys to remember that you can do in PropStream. The first search that you can do, and I might need to show you guys this. Let me make sure I show you my screen here. The first search that you can do, can you guys see this where it says traditional search?
Yep.
Perfect. This is the first search everybody's been doing since real estate existed, right? They pick a list. We have 18 of them. After you pick a list, make sure it's off market, right? Because otherwise it's going to be on market and you got to buy it through a realtor. Again, the idea is to get to direct to seller. So make sure it's off market. And I'll show you where you can do that in a second. Third, your equity. I don't know what strategy you're about to implement, but you're going to need to apply an equity amount based on that strategy. If you're a fix and flipper, you need equity. If you're a wholesaler, equity. If you're doing short sales, you probably don't need equity, right? After you apply your equity, the last thing is your property and owner characteristics. Reason why I call this traditional search is everybody's been doing it that way. They'll go to the county, then they'll call their realtor, make sure none of those properties from the county is on market. Then they'll call the homeowner, ask the homeowner if they owe anything or if there's any equity. And then from there, you get the idea. The way that's going to look in PropStream is that you're going to be able to go and do this. You search your market, go into the filter and pick a list. Let me clear this all. Let's say today's list is delinquent properties. They failed to miss their tax payments. Great. Am I going to stop there? No, I need to make sure they're off market. That's part two. MLS status, that's our filters for MLS. On market, no. Step two is done. Step three, I'm going to fix and flip this property. Okay, well, then you got to go to value and equity and let us put equity, right? So estimated equity, let's do 40%, 50%, 60%. We don't know what it is, so please put your minimum and maximum. Finally, what property and owner characteristics? So some of us are going to do duplexes, the others are going to do mobile homes, some of us are going to do single family. Property characteristics is where you apply your property characteristics. So I'll do residential, I'll do single family, maybe built before 1980. Finally, my owner preferences. I'm about to market to this list. So what type of people do you want calling you back? Well, I want someone who's owned a property for maybe 12 years. And that person being an individual, not a corporate office, because I don't want a secretary calling me. I want a person, the decision maker, calling me back. And there it is. That's the traditional search. Now we have different filters. So if I wanted to say, oh, I also wanted vacant, I can stack. All right, well, there are your 30 vacant properties with every other criteria that you wanted, or leave it under any, because we know it's a numbers game. 30 properties isn't going to feed the bills, right? For the rest of our lives, we have to continue building leads. So now I can hit close, and there are my 1,700 leads. What was that, Mike? I'm sorry for cutting you off.
What I like about this, like, so we're all different levels, right? So some of us might want to pull 5,000-10,000 leads to do, cold calling, mailing. But
yes,
or I like how we went from 450,000 Phoenix leads down all the way down to 1,700, or down to 30 actually. So you could even just take those highly targeted, really specific characteristics and just get in your car and go knock on those 30 doors. So there's a lot of room here.
Absolutely. Now this is the value bomb I'm going to give you guys. In my decade of doing this, I've kind of witnessed there's a new way of searching things. And I think we kind of pioneered that by accident. And it's what I call building situations. And you have to understand, competition is stiff out there right now. Lots of investors, lots of agents are coming into the industry. And so if you're pulling a list, competition is only going to increase every single day. So this new search I call building situations. And it's very familiar to the traditional search. So it shouldn't be too complicated. But here's how it goes. I just took 2, 3, and 4 from traditional search and made it 1, 2, and 3. Because let me explain. No matter what lists you're about to go after or what situation you're about to create, don't you need it off market? Don't you need a certain amount of equity? Don't you want a certain amount of property and owner characteristics? So the way that building situations should work is you should start with that first. So let's kind of use this story as an example. Let's say you're in Phoenix, I'm in Phoenix. You guys are pulling lists, and I know this new method. I can edge you out every single time. So here's what I would do. While you're pulling a list, I'm just going to build my situation. I'm going to go to MLS and say on market, no. I'm going to apply my equity. So we'll do maybe 60% or more. And then I'm going to apply my property and owner characteristics like residential and single family properties. And then I'm going to apply my owner info, someone who's owned their house for maybe 15 years and is an individual, right? Haven't chosen a list yet. That's the cool thing about PropStream is we don't force the list down your throat. We're actually just let you manipulate our data like I'm doing right now. But here's what I call building situations, because we've gotten so used to picking a list that I've realized the lead isn't always going to be on a list. Here's an example. The president or the federal government increased the taxes or interest rates recently, right? Because of this inflation, the dollar losing its value technically. So that's going to affect some homeowners, right? It's going to affect some homeowners. They might not be able to make a payment, and then they're going to show up on a lien, and then they're going to show up on a pre-foreclosure or maybe even a bankruptcy. So we can wait for that, or we can go into the mortgage section and say, you know what, how about we look for everybody with an adjustable rate mortgage because they're the ones that are faced with the challenge today. So I'm not going after a pre-foreclosure. I'm going after people that have lived in their house for 15 years that have an adjustable rate mortgage because for the last 14 years, they've been making a $2,000 monthly payment. And they just found out at the end of July that they now have to pay $300 more because of a 1% increase. These homeowners, if they don't make that $300 payment, that difference, then they're going to show up in pre-foreclosure. Then they're going to show up in bankruptcy. Then they're going to show up on a lien. I'm not going after a list. So while you're waiting for them to show up on a list, I'm already having my initial conversation. Hi, my name is Burton. I'm a local investor, and I'm just reaching out to see if you might be interested in selling your property. Yeah, you know what? I'm having some difficult time now. My mortgage payment just went up. Oh, I'm sorry to hear about that. Let me provide you some resources to see if we can help out, right? So that's building a situation. I'm not going after a list. I'm going after a situation, and all because of interest rates increasing. If interest rates didn't increase, this would not make any sense at all. Unless I'm a lender or something, right? But today it does because there's a situation that occurred, and these are the homeowners that I want to go after today. Does that make sense? I hope I'm coming across.
Yeah, that's great.
Because if you guys understand that, sky becomes the limit. Sky becomes the limit, right? If anybody that's a realtor right now watching, here's another one that always walks into your office. You're never going to find on a list. But I saw a realtor do this search, and she gets leads almost twice every 2 months or once a month, technically. But she looks for 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom properties. That's it. 15 years of ownership, 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. Why? Because we talked about Josephina having to share 1 bathroom, or maybe they might have had kids along the way. When they bought the property, they might have been bachelors or just a couple. 15 years have gone by. There's a 13-year-old now. They probably want to update. They're never going to be on a list because that couple's been paying their bills, right? They've been happily married, so they're not on a divorce list. But they have a 13-year-old now, and they don't like sharing a bathroom because that 13-year-old's always TikToking all the time, right? Yeah. And mom and dad are getting late to work. So I have 87 people I can knock on the door and say, hey, would you like to upgrade? Or create postcards that say, in need of an upgrade. And by the way, we have that skip tracing and we have the postcards. But that's the end of my presentation today, guys. I just want to thank you for giving me the time and giving me some time in your lunch hour today to kind of just show you what we've been working on for the last 16 years and why for the last 10 years I haven't looked back. I just love data. I love our industry. Pretty much every time we find a new way to find leads, we're finding new ways to solve people's problems. Man, it's a win-win-win-win. When we make you happy, you get to make someone happy. And so it's like again, win-win-win-win. And the community is impacted in a positive way. So thank you guys for giving me the time today to show you how PropStream can be utilized in your real estate business.
Well, we still have like, almost 10 minutes. So it's like, if anyone has questions out there, because I know I have a few questions, but I want to make sure I get everyone online on Facebook and Instagram. So if you have questions, throw them in the comments. Otherwise, I'll ask a couple questions. Anyone have anything? Just throw it in the chat or open up your mic. So there's a lot here.
I got a couple, but I got to think. So I'm gonna let you go, Mike. So
all right. So awesome. So just the flip side of what you were saying about the 3 bedroom, 1 bath. you just think of our business, right? Like same thing for downsizing, go to the senior owner or longtime owner, 2,000 square feet or more, right?
Exactly. I love that you're thinking
They
like
want
that.
to downsize.
We actually have a stories filter too. So I've seen people use senior owners minimum 2-story buildings. So consider that. Or again, the adjustable rate, senior owner on a fixed income with an adjustable rate mortgage. Hello, right? Situations unravel every single day. When you catch on to it, that data can potentially be manipulated to find those homeowners that need that help.
And I'll throw in some just quick ones real too. Like, so if it's free and clear or high equity, you can go down or usually free and clear. To keep it simple, you can do owner carrybacks, right? So even if they don't want to sell at a discount, maybe if they have high mortgage or they might be at par or upside down or high or low equity, you can do the subject to strategies, right? So you could just pull these specific lists and target them. We got a question from Michaela. Will the new merger with the title company strengthen your skip tracing capabilities?
Well, we haven't tapped into their data just yet. The acquisition happened in November. And so a big acquisition like that, because I believe the transaction was like $175 million for the acquisition. So that type of merge, that type of acquisition doesn't happen overnight. But I will say, we feel like the kids who got keys to the castle right now, we're just kind of running around and just kind of looking around and seeing what's there. We haven't really kind of stopped to assess really what we're going to do within the keep now, right? So it is potentially going to strengthen. I can't say particularly the skip tracing, but it should strengthen in the data in general, and that could include the skip tracing. But I don't want to say yes, it is, and then later on, you might have some different results. I'm the most transparent guy. I don't make promises, but I can just tell you right now, we had we before the acquisition, we did what we did with 16 years of data collection. As far as I understand, Stewart Title has been around for over 100 years. So that's why I say we feel like the kids with the keys to the castle, because wow, like with that amount of data, it's definitely going to strengthen our system quite a bit. But Michaela, that's the best answer I can give you. So, and you know what? Actually, consider this too, because I always have this conversation with skip tracing. Understand that depending on the list that you skip trace may dictate your results when you skip trace, right? So or your accuracy, I should say. So if I skip trace, for example, pre-foreclosure lists, what do we know about the pre-foreclosure list? They're not paying their mortgage, which probably means they're not paying their car payments or credit cards, right? That means everybody's calling them now. And if they're not paying those bills, they may not be paying that phone bill as well. So for those that skip trace a pre-foreclosure, get used to disconnected phone numbers. Or if you do come across someone, they might say, hey, you got the wrong number, because they just think you're another one of those 50 other creditors that are calling them. You might need to get creative if you do get a hold of someone. Like one of my buddies, what he does is the first phone call is Jill there. Obviously, Jill, you got the wrong number. Calls back an hour later and says, hey, I need to speak to Jill. We have a cash offer and I don't know what the amount was again. Is she there? Right. And that caught Jill's attention. And all of a sudden, the person that says, Jill, you got the wrong number, is actually Jill on the phone. The angle was just a lot different. And that's the thing, is we don't know these stories. And there's no way for us as a company to say, oh, our accuracy is going to be 90%, for the reason you might be skip tracing a pre-foreclosure list, which already is going to have its X factors and hinder your accuracy. But then there's also the cash buyers list, for example, right? The other side of the stick, where if you skip trace a cash buyers list, you might get everybody answering the phone call now because they're paying properties in cash. A phone bill to them is nothing. And an unknown number to a cash buyer means a potentially new contract. So depending on your list may dictate your skip tracing results. So if you're noticing you're getting a lot of disconnected numbers, it may actually be the list that you're pulling. If that's the case, try to build a situation that may not be as severe as a lien or a bankruptcy or a pre-foreclosure. But I'm not saying give up on that. I'm just saying those types of leads may require more effort, essentially, versus someone who has an adjustable rate mortgage. I don't think everybody's calling them right now, so you might be the first person to get reached. Right? That's why I'm showing you that stuff, right? So I hope that was very helpful.
We have someone who has their hand up. Paul, do you want to hop on or type in your question or open up your video? Mute.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, are you here?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hey, Bert, nice to see you again.
Hey,
Quick
Paul,
question
what's up,
for
buddy?
you. Good, good. Quick question for you. So I'm getting to the point where I have multiple lists going now. How do I know on PropStream that it's not continually pulling that same lead? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, so is one property on another list? Is that what you're referring to potentially?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a great question. Let me actually show you on our screen. There's actually a column for that. So go into my properties and pick any list that you currently have. So I'm going to go ahead and click, let's say, my senior list, the 114. So let's say I'm afraid that some of these addresses might be on another list that I have. The best thing to do is scroll to the very far right, and there's a column that says marketing lists. And what I normally do is I click on it twice, so it puts the highest number at the top all the way to the bottom. So if you see something with 2, that means that property is on 2 different lists. And I'm going to see if I can try to find one for you here. See if I can show you that. And then once you identify the property that is on 2 different lists. Okay, hold on. Let me just force an example here really quick. So add to my senior list as well. All right, so I'm going to force this example. What I'm doing right now, Paul, is I'm just taking 5 properties from one list and just shoving it into another list, actually making copies there so I can show you what I'm referring to here. So, all right, perfect. All right, so my senior list. I built this, let's say today, and I'm afraid, you know what, there might be some duplicates in this list. So what I want to do, first and foremost, duplicates don't count against you, against your monthly record. So our system already identifies that. But we don't know if you did that on purpose or not. We don't know if you're saving a list with duplicates or not. So to get rid of them, scroll to the far right and look for marketing lists. Click on it twice, or you can go to this blank spot and just hit the number 2 or the number 3, the number 4. Like you might want to go through each number really quick. Well, let's say I do number 2. There they are. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 properties in my 119 marketing list that are on 2 different lists. And if I wanted to know which 2 lists they're on, I just click on that number. It collapses and it says, okay, this property is in these 2 lists here.
So he would then delete those or something, or?
Absolutely. You can check them all off and go to actions. Well, first off, you can export them if you need them, right? Because sometimes being on more than one list is not a bad thing. That just lets you know they're going through a lot, right?
Can you talk about that, Burton? Like stacking, like how?
Yeah, that's what I would do. Right here, you can do with our main list, all saved properties. It shows you every single thing that's ever saved. And what I do is I do this every single time because I do a lot of demonstrations, but I go there and I do the marketing list, flip it. Which property is on multiple lists? So you can type in 2, you can type in 3, 4, right? And then from there, check off all those properties and you can either export, action, and delete those properties, or you can maybe create a whole new marketing list because one of the options in actions is create a new marketing list. So
the idea for everyone in regards to stacking, what he's about to show you is, so if you're pulling probate, divorce, and all these different pain point lists, and you have 20 of them, then you go to all saved, and then when it loads, you'll see that, hey, Jim Smith is on 5 of these 10 lists.
There you go.
You have 5 pain points attached to their name, so maybe you want to go to them first.
Absolutely, and you can see I have several that are on more than 2 lists or more than 1 list. Again, I can isolate just that by hitting that number, check those off, build a new list, skip trace it, and then market to those leads even more, right? So thank you, Mike, for highlighting that. But Paul, does that answer your question on getting rid of those duplicates, my friend?
Yes, thank you,
maybe,
Bert.
or maybe manipulating them for other reasons.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
One more continuation on that question. So what if I were to pull a new list? Is there any way in PropStream that it will alert me that, hey, you already have this one, or you just
not at the moment. We are working on some logic on the back end for that. I guess my goal, my idea, my vision is that Again, my vision may not align to what's going to end up happening, but a vision that I would love to have is kind of like a pop-up saying, yay on the duplicates or no on the duplicates, right? But that's the thing is, there's always two sides to the story. Some of our users are like, no, 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 we don't want duplicates. So if we don't put the duplicates in your list, when you go into your My Properties, how do you know one property is on 7 different lists now? You won't ever know that, right? So we kind of are, we have this thing called Switzerland, where we just kind of stay in the middle and we try to see what's going to appease the majority for the most part. And so let us know what your thoughts and suggestions are, especially to that point. Like, hey, I'd love to be able to remove the duplicates or not remove the duplicates, and give us your reasons for it. But that right there is the constant debate that we have. Do we remove it? But in removing it, we might hinder identifying properties that have multiple motivations. But then by keeping it, now Paul has to do more work to remove them, right? And so it's kind of like a little bit of, we're stuck in the middle until we figure out the best logic to create. And we don't have the answer to that at the very moment.
God, and I think kind of like Paul, I think what you're talking about also is like, hey, so it's like August 1st, he pulls single family, 3-bedroom Phoenix vacant, right? Then now it's September 1st, he wants to pull that same list. So like you said, there you have a revolving door every day. So maybe that same exact list he's targeting has 20 more leads. So I guess you could still get it from that.
In that sense, I would recommend, if you want like new records to just be alerted, we do have that feature. It's called List Automator. It is an add-on, so that's my upsell here. It's an additional $27 a month. But what it can do, and again, I'm not trying to sell you here, but if you don't like coming in every day to search again and again and again, or you're afraid that your cold callers aren't doing work or they're not doing their job, I would recommend getting List Automator. And here's what List Automator does. If you have List Automator, you can build a list like the senior owners list I have. And this button will appear called Automate Lists. And by clicking on that, that's exactly what I think you might need, Paul, where when new properties that match my exact criteria show up. So I built this list, right, with certain filters. Today there's 119, I get that. But let's say tomorrow when I'm at work, a new record shows up. If we identify that, we can either move it to this list for you, move it to another list for you, or you can do it yourself. We'll separate it in a green box and you can do whatever you want with that new record, right? We'll also, with whichever option you choose, I'll do myself as the more popular one. I'll show you why. You can also get email notifications. So when a new property shows up tomorrow or 2 days from now or a week from now, because we don't know what lists it is, because some lists may be every day or every week, like we discussed earlier, but we'll send you an immediate notification or a daily or a weekly. That's and cool. If you do I'll do it myself, this is what it looks like. If you automate a list, it goes into the automated list area. So like my Vegas lien list that I have here, it has 12 properties right now, but when I click on it, it tells me I have 17 I need to add right now. And I don't even have to do the search at all. I got an email notifying me about that as well. But it also tells me the removals. Your 12 properties that you have, 12 of them have to go because they're now free and clear, or they paid off their lien, or whatever it may be. That's the second part to List Automator. We not only automate new records coming in, but we will monitor what you've already saved. So if any of those properties that you've already saved, let's say sell, or it's no longer vacant, or whatever their filter is that you ask for, if it no longer meets that filter, we can do the opposite. We can remove it, move it to another list, or you can do whatever you want to that list.
You're scrubbing.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. That's all we're doing. So today, like, I can log off today and I can go on vacation for a month. And then when I log into PropStream, the hardest part is picking back up where we last left off, right? Not with List Automator. I can log off, log back in, go back into my properties, click on a list I've had, like my Maricopa senior owners list, and that's what it's telling me. Your list of 3,200 right now, yes, 705 of them have to be removed. Okay, check them off, delete those records. And as I delete those records, it goes down to 2,500 that I still need to call and maintain my
So-
rapport with.
So think about that for everyone building out lists, because if you guys, I didn't even know about this, so thank you. So
Oh, you're very welcome.
$27. So think about those 700 leads that you're gonna skip trace and pay 12, 15 cents for. Send a 60 cent, letter to it, or pay a dialer to call those leads. So obviously well worth it. So I have two questions.
Oh, absolutely.
Before we
Yeah.
wrap up, we have David, then Michaela. Hey, David.
Hey, thank you, Bert. Great information.
Of course, David.
A couple questions. On the data that's coming in, you made a comment about 10,000 records a month. So this month I have 10,000 records. I go through, make lists, do some things. I mean, 10,000 is a lot of
Well, let
data.
me specify that. So you get unlimited property search, property detail searches. So I can search an individual property and look at the details. There's no limit to that. Saving properties to a marketing list, or just saving it in general, so it's in your My Properties, that's what counts against your 10,000 every month. So just want to specify that, but go ahead and continue, David.
So however many I put in my save, one of the examples you showed was 3,200 on the previous example. So the next month it comes through, those searches and those saves I have always stay there, or is data being overlaid?
Yeah, they'll always stay there. No, we don't erase anything. So the data will stay there. So the next month, that list of 3,200 will remain there. Your limit will reset. So it'll be back to full tank you go. So you'll get another 10,000 records the next month. And also in the event, I think you heard me probably say this to Paul, let's say you build another list and those 3,200 properties happen to be on that other list as well that you just built a month later, they won't count against your 10,000. So even though you save them a month later, the same 3,200 properties, your limit will still be at 10,000 because you've already saved those properties. So even though you have property list A with 3,200 properties and property list B with the same 3,200 properties, your 10,000 limit will still be the second month because you just saved the same address as the previous month. The only time it does count against you is when it does a title change.
Okay.
That property has a different name 6 months later, and you save that property again 6 months later, it counts against your monthly limit.
Okay.
At that time.
So you have access to all the data. It's just really the 10,000 is what you save. Is that
correct? Yeah, because that's absolutely right. And again, some people ask, well, why do I need to save it? To export it out of our system, to skip trace it, to market to it, right?
Okay.
So the search engine is kind of your window shopping, for the lack of a better word, right? If you want to take the product out, you have to save it to a list. And after you save it to a list, then it can be exported, skip trace, or marketed to.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Awesome.
Of course, David, those are some really good questions. Thank you for asking those.
And Michaela, you're muted.
Yeah, I think your sound is not coming through. Your mic sound.
Oh yeah, you're unmuted, huh?
You know what you might want to do? If you can try to test your speaker and microphone, because your microphone might be on like a different drop-down menu. I do it all the time because I have like 15 different microphones and I have to choose the right one.
So until Michaela does that, I'll just kind of let everyone know, we went over a little bit, so thanks for hanging out with us. We do this every week, Wednesdays at 12 p.m., not another lunch and learn. Next week, we have Andrew, one of our business associates from People's Mortgage. We're going to be talking about investor loan products that are available for you so you can get more deals funded. So Michaela, or if you want to type in your question, that's fine too. But Burton, man, yeah, this is great. I know we haven't even tapped into
Oh yeah, there's still the mobile app. There's so much we have to offer, but I'm confident that what I showed you will get you guys started on the right foot.
Yeah. Well, definitely, man. And we'll have this on a replay on Instagram and Facebook for everybody. So yeah, or if you register, we can get you a copy if you'd like. But yeah, maybe Burton, I need to get you back in a couple of weeks or months, and maybe take another step up. Another dive. All right, here's Michaela's question. Can you tag a list in order to change it? For instance, if a property goes from foreclosure to free and clear, can you tag it as that instead of deleting it?
I guess not necessarily tagging and like highlighting Michaela, but we can rename it or create a folder and separate it. To do that, go to the My Properties, go ahead and click on your list. If you want to rename it, after you click on your list, go ahead and go to actions and feel free to rename that marketing list. That's the first option I would take in terms of technically tagging, right? So I would maybe rename it, maybe add like a dash or something, and then, you know, now in free and clear or whatever it may be. The other avenue I would take, and this is an avenue not too many people even know we have, is this plus sign right here. If you hit this plus sign, you can actually create a blank marketing list so that you can dump addresses into, or a folder. So I can call this my free and clear folder, right? Or just call it free and clear, and then hit save. And now what that does is it actually creates a separate folder. So then I can take my Braden tired landlords. Again, there were once tired landlords. And now I can go to actions and move them to a folder, add to a folder, right? I can create a new one or add to an existing folder. And doing so puts it in there. So I could create a folder for my team members, a folder for free and clear, a folder for bankruptcy, a folder from, you know, acquisitions to dispositions to whatever it may be. Now, we're not a full-blown CRM, so it's not going to be as effective as others that you might have come across, but hopefully that can help you organize it a little bit better than what you're currently using or currently doing.
And one last question, Burton, from Mike. If you could just touch on, he wants to know if there's other training videos, you know, like this that they, you know, that they could dive into on their own time.
Yeah, our PropStream Academy, which is free on our main website, just needs an email to log in. Lots of free courses. We even give you a certificate for completing courses. We do giveaways there too. We do daily webinars at 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, different topics each day. Other than that, YouTube. Our YouTube has lots of videos. If you just go on YouTube and type PropStream, you might see me with others doing videos about other topics. PropStream has so much data. I mean, I can do a demonstration on lenders, a demonstration for contractors, a demonstration for fix and flippers, property management. There's just so much. So social media, our main website, and YouTube would be your best bet there.
Love it, Burton. Really appreciate it. Thank you for today, man. And everyone else, see you next week. Thank you for being here, and have a great day.
Take care, everybody.